Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of the Definitely Talking podcast. My name is Shanna Groves, also known as Lip Reading Mom. Today's special guest is Jeremy Chow. Jeremy is the founder and CEO of a company called Tactus. It is driven by a belief that music is a fundamental part of human experience and should be accessible to everyone. So Jeremy's has a conviction that led him to design and develop a wearable technology that translate music into vibrations. So it expands musical access to people in the deaf and hard of hearing community. He began the company in Boston, Massachusetts, and now it has grown into a global venture with active engagement in innovation ecosystems across Tokyo and Hong Kong. He's also the technical founder of the background in mechanical engineering. He brings deep expertise in technology development, and he pairs that with strong community involvement. He hopes to build solutions that are genuinely human-centered. I love that. And he's guided by a passion for music and design, as well as human connection. He is committed to making sensory experiences more inclusive for all. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you so much, Shanna, for such a wonderful introduction. I'm honored to be part of the show here, so very excited about it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Well, you've been busy. You have been traveling, and I know that we had to align our schedules and look at our calendars closely to be able to schedule this podcast. And it's just wonderful to have you here. You've been doing some international travel, and also you're based in the United States. Can you tell me a little bit about, you mentioned before we started this call, we had some discussion about your background and why
hmm
you became interested in music appreciation for the deaf hard of hearing community. And you mentioned that although you do not identify as being deaf or hard of hearing, you have a vested interest in allying with the community. Can you tell me what got you started in working with the deaf hard of hearing community?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of this started, this journey, this wonderful journey started during the last semester at Northeastern University, where I was studying mechanical engineering, finishing up my bachelor's degree. I met there Professor Laurie Achin. At the time, she was teaching ASL at Northeastern University. She's a deaf professor, a deaf dancer, and a choreographer, and amongst that, many other things as well. She's also the director of the deaf beach volleyball team. So, we got to cross paths again, actually on the other side of the world in Tokyo during the Deaf Olympics most recently. That was in November of 2025. And you mentioned, some traveling. I was actually in Washington, D.C. last week, where I got to see her picture on the Hall of Fame at the Gallaudet University as well, Hall of Fame of athletics. But back to the journey, I met Professor Laurie Achin during my last semester, learned about her experience as a deaf dancer and choreographer. I was super interested, wanted to learn more because I've always had a passion myself in music. I've always done quite a lot within music. And so I just asked her and just had conversations with her, understanding her process. How is she able to learn music and learn dance despite her deafness? And she told me that she would learn music by putting her hands on speakers to feel the vibrations of music. She would learn and memorize the song in that way, so that when she's out dancing, the song is playing in her head in perfect rhythm. And I thought, wow, that's just the most impressive thing. And needless to say, we bonded over our shared passion for music. And for the next 6 to 8 months, we actually worked together. And I said, hey, what if we were able to make something that allows you to feel music live on your body while you dance.
Mm.
So yeah, we worked together for the next 6 to 8 months, developed the first prototype for her. It was very successful. She loved it. She asked to keep it. I said, yes, of course, we made it for you. And it was really her words that encouraged me and motivated me to continue working on it. She said, hey, Jeremy, this is great. I think there are other people within the deaf community um, that could benefit from this wearable device that you've made. And I just loved working with her so much. She was super open and just supportive throughout the process. I thought, yeah, this was so much fun. I'd love to continue working on this and continue working with the community in that way. And so that's how the journey started.
Wow. So it all started with Dr. Laurie Achin, and she is a professor who identifies as being deaf. Did she primarily communicate with you using American Sign Language, ASL, or was she able to voice and sign, or was there voice interpretation?
Yes. So yeah, Professor Laurie Achin. Yes, indeed. She mostly communicated. We communicate through ASL. She does voice a bit, but in most of the communication sessions, we actually had an interpreter involved. At the time, I didn't know any sign language at all.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was very helpful to have an interpreter kind of support in communicating in those sessions. But fast forward to November 2025 when I met her again after years of not seeing her. Of course, we would have calls and message each other, keep each other updated on the journey. But fast forward to Deaf Olympics, I was able to at least I knew enough sign at the time to at least communicate with her in ASL. So just had a really nice kind of like homecoming feeling, even
Wow.
kind of meeting her again there.
That's wonderful. I do need to meet her at some point. Maybe you can provide an online introduction for us, and maybe who knows? Maybe we might have another guest on Definitely Talking with her.
I think she would be a wonderful guest. Like I said, she's so involved in the community, and she does, yeah. I mean, her involvement just goes on and on. So I think there's a lot of very interesting things that she could share with you.
All right. We'll definitely follow up on that. I'll hold you
Yes,
to it, right?
yes.
Well, Jeremy, now, so you as a result of the friendship that you developed with Dr. Atkins, she exposed you to ASL, to communication access, and music appreciation as not only just the experience of music, but also dancing and movement with music. Did you have a prior background in music that prompted you also to want to develop your company that specializes in music appreciation and access?
Yes. So before meeting Professor Laurie Akin, I was always interested in music. I grew up playing music. I wouldn't call myself a musician at all because I feel like I never was musically talented enough to put that label on myself. But I would jam with my friends, and I just had such great memories doing that. I'm still best friends with my middle school classmate who we learned guitar together. And so I just had such a great appreciation for music and the connections that it allows and enables through music. Later on, as I got more involved in my studies towards engineering, started learning a bit more about the science behind music as well, understanding you know what each note means, that it's a fundamental frequency behind it, and how
Mhm.
different notes and different chords can interact with each other to create tension sometimes, but
Mhm.
then to have that tension be resolved again. And if you really look down to it, they're all just different frequencies kind of interacting with each other, but somehow to someone who is experiencing this music and hearing it, it it affects them in such a emotional way, and I found that so fascinating, this world where, science and art kinda collide, and
Mhm.
so it was just, did a lot of my own studies within where these two worlds intersect, and hence having a bit of that, you can say, technical background behind the science of music, which, I think really allowed me to kind of explore this project with Professor Laurie Achin.
Sure. Okay. So I'm really, as you can tell from the background of my video, for those who can't see the video, I have some amplifiers that have the word Marshall on them, which is a manufacturer of music amplifiers. It's primarily used for electric guitars, but for other instruments. And my husband is an amateur guitarist. Well, I think he's very, very good, but he enjoys guitar music for himself only, not for an audience. And also, I'm teaching myself how to play the keyboard, piano, and I told him maybe someday we could develop our own band. But music appreciation has been something that has been key to our relationship. Even though I am actually medically deaf, I use a cochlear implant and I've worn hearing aids for over 20 years. We've gone to concerts before. I do take out my hearing devices and put earplugs in, so whatever hearing I have left in my hearing aid ear, I don't lose that. But as you mentioned, I feel the music. I feel the vibration. I definitely feel the beat. I'm know many people like myself who are profoundly hard of hearing deaf. We feel the the rhythms of music, and that can come through the percussion, through the drums. I have difficulty hearing cymbals because they are very high frequency, but I can hear bass tones and bass guitar, the keyboard, some of the lower octave sounds. So tell our viewers more about the vests that you have developed to allow those of us who cannot hear but love the experience of music, how we can appreciate it with your product.
Yeah, I love that description, Shanna, and I think what this vest is, so just to kind of give a very broad description, it's a vest. It looks and feels like a normal piece of clothing, but it's got electronics integrated, so that it translates the music into vibrations, sending them to various key locations on the torso. So everything is wireless. It's powered by a little battery that you put in, and you just connect your phone via Bluetooth, and you can play music on your phone, whatever streaming platform you use, Spotify, Apple Music, and it'll translate that music into vibration, sending them to your torso. And the whole idea came from taking something that's really familiar to people within the community already. The experience that you mentioned, being able to feel the music, feel the bass, feel the kick drum, feel the bass guitars, those low frequencies. When you're at a concert, it feels like that music is just coursing through your body. It's exactly that, taking that experience by expanding the horizon to make sure that not just the bass is covered, because we know that music is so much more than that, that you can feel the guitars, the cymbals, maybe the
Mm,
violins, saxophones, the vocals,
mhm,
things that normally would be out of that range when you're just standing in front of loudspeakers and feeling the bass come through, right? So we're including, the mids and the trebles, and sending them to
mm,
specific locations on the torso, so that the user, the person, feeling the music, can differentiate between, okay, I'm feeling the bass over here, I'm feeling the vocals over here. And so yeah, it's just like a spatial mapping of music on your body, but it all comes down to a familiar feeling that we all have, which is just feeling the music on you when you're going to concerts, right? So um And yeah, and all of this was done in collaboration with the deaf community, which I'm super grateful for. You
Mm.
know, every design choice that we've made is driven from a feedback that was received from the community. The whole idea that looks and feels like a normal piece of clothing was totally driven by them, right? I remember the very first prototype. It looks more like a harness, like a safety harness, got belts and buckles. And while they all said, hey, this is a really great vibration experience, I'll never wear this outside. It looks super awkward. People are going to stare at me. And so, it was from that feedback and kind of brainstorming with them where we really said, okay, yeah, we can like pivot this design. And there was a lot of, development efforts that went into that to say, okay, how can we solve the engineering problem of making it actually look and feel like a normal piece of clothing, minimizing the components. But yeah, again, all of that was driven from feedback from the community. So I love that the result that we have, and I'm able to share it with the people who gave us the feedback and say, hey, look, this is what we've done now, and it's really feels co-created in that way.
I appreciate and value that you included the deaf community in developing your product. And that speaks volumes about how this product will be embraced by the community as well. That they know that there were people behind the scenes that were advising you on how to make it more comfortable, more
Mm.
visually interesting,
Mhm.
not too bulky or hot. And I know
Yeah.
going to concerts and music events, we sweat, we get
Yeah.
hot, and so having something that is lightweight like that is really great. If people were interested in this vest, how would they get more information? Where could they find information about it online?
Yeah, you can check us out on our website at tactusmusic.com. So that's TACTUSMUSIC.com. And, follow us on Instagram at tactus.music. There we'll be maybe posting a bit more on some of the concerts that we are going to be involved in. So I'm very excited and looking forward to that as well as we're looking to partner with different venues and concerts to make the concert experience more accessible and inclusive, working with community groups in that way. So yeah, follow us there to see more about that.
Good. And I like that you mentioned if other organizations or groups are interested in speaking with you and contacting you about the product for maybe an event or, not just for personal use, but maybe something that could benefit, you know, the entire community. I think that that is
Absolutely.
great that you are open to those types of partnerships too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's everything that we've done so far has been community driven, and would love for it to stay that way even beyond just the design phase. As we get into really deploying it and making it accessible to people. I think partnerships with community groups and organizations that have a similar mission. I think yeah, there's no better way to do that.
Wonderful. Well, maybe someday if I get so bold to do a concert with my piano and I want my friends who are deaf and hard of hearing to enjoy it, I might have to look you up,
Absolutely. You
make
know
that
where to find
accessible.
me.
Because I tell you what, music appreciation can benefit us in so many ways. Just
Mhm.
that stimulation, not only if we do have some auditory sense left, but even if we don't, I think, like you said, there is a science behind music, just
Mhm.
the syncopation of it, the rhythm. And for those of us who have some residual hearing, the harmony, that is my absolute favorite part. And one of the things I missed when my hearing started to decline more than 20 years ago, I used to sing in the choir and I loved harmonizing with different
Mm,
people. And I love doing that now with the keyboard and
mm.
finding chords and different harmonies. It's just great. And so being able to utilize a product, I think, that can make what those of us who have some typical hearing, we are able to access that. But I think also having a product that can make this accessible for everyone is I applaud that. And I thank you for being such an ally and working with the deaf hard of hearing community in partnering and developing this product, which I'm sure you probably have some other ideas and future projects that you might be working on and partnerships. I'm really excited to see where this all goes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shanna. I really, really appreciate that.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Jeremy, we do like to wrap up our Definitely Talking podcast interviews with a fun question. I call it a big three question. Number three, I'm holding up three fingers. And the reason why I choose a question that involves the number three is for those of us who can't see the video that I'm speaking from, behind me there is a black and white photo of my three children. I have two sons and a daughter, and this photo was taken many years ago. They are all grown up now, but three is like my number. I'm actually the middle child of three daughters too, and my husband is the oldest son of three boys or men. And so three is it. So I came up with a question for you, and that question is, if you could interview three individuals, whether they are still living or not, if you could interview them for a podcast, who would those three individuals be?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm gonna have to say number one would be Jimi Hendrix. You know, number one, I'm such a big fan of his music, and you know, I think we lost him way too early. So
Mhm.
if there's just chance for me to interview him and get some of his insights behind his music process, I'd love to dive into that with him. Um, Number two is Vincent van Gogh, actually. So I spent a
Mm,
few years living in the Netherlands, and of course, uh, you know, Van Gogh was Dutch and living in the Netherlands. One thing that strikes me is that he grew up his whole life as kind of as a starving artist, one could
mm,
say, and it was really only after his death where his art pieces really became yeah, very popular and valuable. So I think that's such an interesting aspect, so would love to just like understand his perspective on that, if he would know, hey, you're super famous now, like what his reaction would be. And then the last one, he is living, so I have still a chance to interview him. We do talk often, but never had a chance to interview him in like a formal podcast setting. But this is the third person would be Wawa, Warren Snipe. Wawa is his stage name. He is a um, deaf musician, music producer, but also just such an advocate. I think he's been involved in acting as well. And he is someone who really believes in accessibility in not just for the deaf community, but for everyone. And so, you know, he's been my ally as well
yeah.
in my work. So would love to just have a deep conversation with him about accessibility and what that means and how that can benefit not just the people that we are designing products for, but for everyone else.
It's so great that you mentioned a living individual who identifies as being deaf, who could be a potential person I could reach out to for definitely talking.
Absolutely.
And I would say that Jeremy Chow recommended him for this podcast, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, this has been wonderful, Jeremy. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with me and for your partnership with the deaf hard of hearing community. We need more people like you. We need to clone and have more Jeremy Chows out there who are working on communication accessibility, art appreciation, music appreciation, and the technology and the science behind it. Thank you for the contributions that you're making to make things more inclusive for everyone.
Thank you so much, Shanna, for such yeah, wonderful and kind words. So again, thanks for having me on the show. So happy that I got the chance to kind of share what I'm doing with you and the audience here. So thanks again.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are watching or listening, again, you can find Jeremy and his innovative products at tactusmusic.com. I'll also have some information at the end of this video so that you can check that out too. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to having you tuning into a future episode of the Definitely Talking podcast. Thanks again, Jeremy, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.